And as always, we will begin with a moment of silent prayer.
That's right. Thank you. Walk face the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, review your agenda and make a motion when you're ready.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
All right, I'll call it for a roll call vote.
We use these things, but
If you,
It should be.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes. Terry, yes.
Derek, yes?
Ben, yes.
All right, thank you. Now look over your minutes from last month and make a motion whenever you're ready.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, I'll call it for a vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes. Terry, yes.
Derek, yes?
Ben, yes.
All right. Do we have any public comments? No public comments.
Mayor, may I make one comment?
Sure.
In reflecting back on the year 2020, it's the most unusual year I think we've all had in local government. We've been very fortunate, the town of Hildebran and its staff have maintained our services above and beyond the call of duty for the entire year.
Yes.
We've been very lucky with our manager, Logan, our clerk, Alice, our finance officer, Rick, police officer. They've worked long and hard, arduous hours, and made sure that we all stay safe and have great service. The one thing I think we need to keep in mind, number one, I think we ought to all give them all a round of applause and appreciation, but more importantly, Logan, following the advice from the state, preparing the budget, everybody got a raise, but it only took effect in January. So for half the year, anybody would ever expect to do for no. And I think Logan did a wonderful job in putting the budget together. But I think not only do we owe them some appreciation, but I think it would mean a lot to our 4 staff members if the board might consider giving them some type of remuneration or cash reward as an incentive for all they've done during the pandemic and risking their life and limb and time with their families to make sure that our city stays safe and continue to deliver service.
Yes. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any?
Do we need to make that an agenda item? Or because I mean, it's not.
You're right, it is not. We have to,
review it.
yeah, we can put it under other business.
Okay,
Is that all
so
right?
do we need to rescind the motion to accept the agenda and make a new motion?
That probably be the best thing to do.
Okay.
I'm sorry I should have done it sooner.
All right,
So I'll make a motion to rescind the approval of the agenda.
all right, call it for a vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes. Terry, yes.
Derek, yes?
Ben, yes.
All right,
And then I'll make a motion to add that to new business as, I guess, would it be 7I?
yes. All right. Okay, call it for a vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes. Terry, yes.
Derek, yes?
Ben, yes.
All right, thank you. All right, that will be then after all our other new business. So let's go on number 6 is old business. 6A, consider interior options of the tower. Matthew Johnson of Eichert Architecture is here to speak to us. Thank you, Mac.
we're 6 feet apart, though.
There you go.
Yes.
First of all, once again, I want to thank y'all for letting me participate in this process. I understand the importance of the tower to Hildebran graduates, everyone. And I'm 65 graduate, so I have a personal interest in it also. I also know it's a fairly sensitive subject too. And I know my charge is to basically convert this thing into a monument. That being said, what I've done is we've got measurements of it, I've got photos of it, we've reviewed it, and I just want to outline what my recommendations would be as how we go about this, so everybody understands that I generate documents that we can get cost proposals and move forward with the project. And I'm going to break it into a couple of parts. I'll do this quickly. First of all, I think everybody knows the roofs are gone, the roofs are leaking. What I recommend is that we tear off the old roofs and most of the old structures rotted out. Replace all that. We would add scuppers and downspouts so we could drain all the water, get the roofs waterproof, and drain all the water off of them properly. The second issue would be with the exterior of it. As it is now, basically, it's a total masonry building with a lot of exposed brick, a lot of exposed stucco from where part of the building was inside. I would recommend that we leave as much of that, leave this building as natural as possible. And basically police up the brick and only remove those stucco that's falling off or really loose. We would then damp proof, put some kind of clear damp proof on it outside to help preserve that, so that we could maintain the exterior, police it up, get all brick and shape, and then maintain the exterior in as good a condition as we possibly can. From an interior standpoint, of course, the old rotted out stairs would be demolished. Mrs. Page, the former librarian, her toilet was underneath the stairs. That would be demolished. I would recommend that we demolish that interior wall that has the door in it. I think we should preserve two items. Those old doors, they look bad, but they're old original steel doors. They're painted green with the rust, kind of keep them as they are and preserve them. The other thing I think we preserve is above those doors, find out plywood is a nice 4x8 glass window that seems to be intact. I think we ought to try to preserve that. And then by taking that interior wall out, we could open up the whole lower level of it, so to speak, and provide access to the lower level. And we could possibly mount the door on the wall in there so people would have it, mount the glass, that window on the wall in there. And one other thing that the council might consider is that if we could come up with some sort of history of either the tower or the school that could be converted into a marker or something that, we go to historical monuments that could be mounted inside. And that way when people go inside, they could wander through what happened to all the old tower. And anything, we could go in there and window in there, we put a marker in there with information so that, I graduated in 65, I probably know a little bit more history about it than some people and worked on the renovation of this building in 1917, but a lot of people don't really have an overview history of even the Hildebran students. That's something the council might consider. But I think this would get us at a status that we have what amount to a monument status that would be reflect the nature of Hildebran and the nature of what you want to retain. And so my question to you is what I've kind of described to you is as I move forward with completing drawings and specifications and things of that nature, this my description kind of fit what you would like to see, because if it does fine, if it doesn't, you tell me and I'll be glad to address any concerns, questions, suggestions that you may have. That's my job is I work for you, and so I want to make sure that I address all of your concerns.
You're talking about hanging those doors. You're talking about hanging along the
Now
inside.
on the wall somewhere, so somebody
What will you do with those? Put another door in them?
Oh, no, we take that wall out completely, that opens up.
That'd be
to-
staying open.
Leave it like a walk, okay,
Oh,
I
yes, and it gets.
was wanting to understand.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So this be the lower levels,
Just
all that
lower
would be
level, right, you would not have access to the upper levels. When you look up, you basically see new roof construction. And I know that, I think Rex had some tiles he wanted to mount, and in the place to do that. It's just, I think from an operational standpoint, I think it'd be good. So,
Also for maintenance, wouldn't it?
oh, yeah, from a maintenance standpoint, it'd be good too. Absolutely.
What about from a security standpoint? I mean, we've got a problem with people, hanging out at the park at night. We have to worry about anybody being.
Well, one thing is, I spoke to Rex about this to some degree, and he said that the Hildebran Heritage Foundation's they're they would look at putting security systems, they already have some camera systems in. And I feel confident they look forward to installing some sort of you can get cameras now like at the house like mine are daylight and infrared. And whether they just get underneath the first tower or get in the whole building, I mean, you're talking about not enough more.
Oh, one thing we can do if that is a serious concern is when we looked at cameras for the park. I mean, you can do face detection, you can do infrared, and then depending on what category you select, you can actually have it phone the sheriff's department or, send some type of alert either Rick or one of the staff members, and we can call. I feel like that might be an issue at first, but then once you start addressing it, have officers there that should. I'll give you this, our park's no longer a concern. They are traveling down to this prayer chapel right here. Yeah, at about 5 o'clock every evening, because at 6 o'clock we close the park. So then we got caught enough where now they're just staying inside this prayer chapel. So to me, that would be one way to address it, but, that's okay.
I like the idea.
I think it'll give you a lot more flexibility in using it as a monitor in the small entry town.
Do it if you can make examples with as much, and I hate to say that, but people will.
Right. Well, one advantage you do have to the old tower, it's 16-inch brick walls. I mean, they can, inside right now, they can walk up and take a spray can and vandalize it. But as far as damaging, I'm not trying to belittle the point, but I mean, beating on a 16-inch brick wall can just do so much fun.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to be facetious.
No, I like that. I like that.
I mean to be facetious. If we don't have windows, things that happen. So anyway,
I like the idea. I also like the idea of the black used to talk about, put the history of it, the old pictures, I think it'll.
it'll give you a much larger area to deal with. But if that seems acceptable to you, I've got a substantial amount of drawings already completed. I'll finalize them based on our discussions tonight and move forward to get the cost proposal. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, would this be for the February or March?
February is a short month. I'd rather do it in March. I've got to get together and have a pre-bid meeting. I'm going to invite local contractors, and of course we'll advertise it for open qualified. But I'm going to start out by calling some local contractors and invite them. And then if I get any requests for open qualified, we have a pre-bid meeting. And usually what I do at the pre-bid meeting, that's a good time to set a bid date because I don't want any bidding it when I got 4 schools bidding on the same day. I'm getting too much minutia here, I'm sorry. But, yeah, that would be ideal if we could bid it in March, and that way we could work in the spring. One good thing about bidding this is we're not talking about plumbing, mechanical, and electrical, so it's all general construction work. So there's not a lot of subs involved in that respect.
We need a motion. Move forward.
Not technically, but
Okay.
it wouldn't hurt if you want to take one, just to approve what he said.
I'll make I'll make a motion, to move forward with the plans. We present.
All right, I'll call for a vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes.
Terry, yes.
Derek, yes.
Ben, yes.
All right. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate your time, and we'll take care of it for you.
Thank you.
You drive back to Boone tonight.
I'm driving back to Boone tonight.
Be careful.
It's
Oh,
foggy.
I know, it was foggy when I came off.
Drive easy and drive slow.
All right, 6B, presentation of facility improvements.
Yes, if you will turn to the attachments, I hope tonight they'll use the TV for the first time and show you this. The printouts are great, but they don't really show you, picture quality, that show you quite the level of improvement I want you to see. However, our laptops aren't quite set up yet, so but if you'll go ahead and turn to the second page of the presentation, that'll be the auditorium restrooms page. So the first one, the first improvement, is the auditorium restroom. I do want to mention before we get into it though, that, we do not have any pictures of the municipal complex upgrades or the community center yet. We've still got two things to take care of. We've got some door issues out here to fix. And then down in the community center, we're still in the process of selecting a design for the sound panels. So until those two are done, I kept those off this presentation. But as a little bit of a prerequisite, we did spend a total in the last year of $94,000 of CIP funds the council approved. 28 of that though was for the municipal complex roof here. And then we were given, or we were able to spend 48,000 of the Family First Coronavirus Response Act funds. 38 of that 48 was spent on the facility upgrades. So we were able to add 38,000 on top of that 94 and come do some upgrades. So to get into those, again, the auditorium restroom, what we did there, we did new partitions, replaced the partitions, had the walls and the tile painted. We had to install new toilet, one new toilet in the men's area, due to a lack of pressure and flow in the toilet. We repaired the tile, painted it. We did full broadcast epoxy floors. Then with COVID money, we were able to do touchless soap dispensers, and touchless hand dryers. So you'll see those on the far right picture. The two left pictures are the before pictures. Two on the right are after. If we go to the next one, we've got the auditorium women's restroom. Again, same thing there, new partition, full broadcast epoxy flooring, touchless soap dispensers, touchless hand dryers, power flush toilets. Both of the toilets in that restroom were replaced. Then we removed the dividers, painted the walls, and painted and repaired the tile. Going to the third one, we've got the gym restroom. I do not have any before pictures here, but I do have after pictures. Again, painted the floor, walls, epoxy the flooring, touchless hand dryer, soap dispensers. We did add auto flush to 3 of the toilets, 1 in the men's, 2 in the women's. We had a running toilet issue. However, we still have 1 issue of the 3, so we think that might actually be a plumbing issue. We've got clips coming out to look at it. But in all 3 of those pictures, you'll see the soap dispensers, the hand dryers, and the redone walls and floors. Going on to the next one, you'll see the gym, before and after hallway and locker room entrance area. So the far left picture is the handicap restroom entrance. The one after that to the right is with the new epoxy flooring and the new paint job. The far 2 right pictures are the old girls' locker room entrance. So the epoxy before, they removed the water fountain and then they replaced it with cinder block and repainted it. Going on to the next picture, next slide. This is the gym entrance and concession area. Far left picture shows you the 2 out of use water fountains. We removed those, had those replaced with cinder block, repainted. Then on the far right side, on that picture, you're going to see the shield that we put up, gym shield, to prevent any viral spread of COVID. We were able to get the countertop replaced. So it was a laminate orange countertop. We were able to use COVID funds to extend that and replace it with a stainless steel countertop to ensure that people weren't having to reach through the glass to get any type of orders from COVID. And then what they did on the left, you'll see one ply guard rail. That was in case any kids were coming out of the restroom, just in case they wanted to take a sharp left and run into the countertop. Now they no longer can. Okay, moving to the last one. So the two things we did at town hall, we purchased thermal scanners. People come in, they have to look at this scanner, it'll give them the temperature reading. And then we'll either let them pass or tell them, hey, you've got a high temperature, you need to exit the building. So it's got a couple of specs on that. And then we also put in a shield at the reception desk to prevent COVID spread. And then the rest will be next month. But that is basically what we're able to do with CIP funds. Any questions on that?
That's good. Good, good.
Okay, 7, new business, 7A, presentation of Town of Hildebran Park survey conducted by Western Piedmont Council.
Yes, so if you'll go to attachment 7A, I can break this down for you. The ones we'll cover, we'll go ahead and hold down to 3, the rest are demographics from 2. 34 of the 69 people who filled this out were in-town residents, 35 identified as not being as living in town. So you have about 49% in town, 51 out. Going on to question 4, people were asked, do you work or play in the town of Hildebran? 59 of the 69 said yes, which is about 86%. Either work with or spend a long time in Hildebran. Question 5 is household income. We'll skip that one. Question 6 is ethnicity question. We can skip it. Going down to 7, people were asked, would you be in favor or oppose expanding the network of greenway trails and sidewalks throughout the town of Hildebran? This is important because we do have 2 sidewalk projects. We also have the Catawba River Trail. It's a potential project. I kind of mentioned it here and there. It will not come through Hildebran if it's executed the way it's planned now. However, we would like to connect to it. So that way people in town can walk to it and then take part in it. Again, that's in infancy stage, but it's good news to know that our town at least supports that once we get to that point. So anyway, 60 of the 67 who answered this question said they would be in favor of expanding the greenway and sidewalks. That's about 90% that are in favor. Question 8 asks, what features would most interest you in a new greenway, trail, or sidewalk? I went ahead and pointed out the top 4. The first one was lighting and safety features. That's their major concern with any type of new sidewalk or trails. The second is they want to make sure that it's near or around attractive scenery for recreation. Third, we had access to parks and open spaces. So they would like to see our sidewalks, our greenway trails connecting to sidewalks and open spaces, parks and open spaces. And then 4th, they wanted a paved walking surface that was ADA accessible. So those are their top 4 concerns if we were to expand our greenway or do sidewalks. We had 2 mentions of the Henry River area, and then 1 mention of connecting to the existing Hildebran Park. So going on to question 9, survey people were asked to check any improvements they would like to see made to the existing park. The largest, or the most prominent answer was add light to the existing park. So evidently there's a want and need for more lighting in the park. We can look at that. Second largest item was improve the walking path and trail accessibility of the existing park. Third was add additional sidewalks / greenway connections to the neighborhoods around it. And then 4th was a tie between add more parks and open space and increase the beautification of the park. Going on to number 10, applicants were asked if they'd be in favor or opposed using tax dollars to fund the new park or park improvements. 52 of the 59 said they would be in favor of it. That's about 88%. That's a very, very large number. Going on to number 11, they were asked to check all facilities that they feel should be developed at this new park or throughout the town of Hildebran. The largest answer was a walking track that came in first. Just as an idea, we were going to include a walking track regardless because of the points asked our grant application. You got to do at least 4 mile trail, so that was always one on our list. The second largest was tied between a splash pad and outdoor restrooms, so something to do with water, basically. Yeah, some type of water. That was some type of
That just sounds fun.
Third was a covered picnic area. It only came in one vote behind the splash pad and outdoor restrooms. Fourth is one we had talked about bypassing, at least at the new park location, just because of the competition with the existing park. But that was playground equipment. And then fifth was a stage, and then sixth was a dog park. And everything else fell below 20 votes. So that was your top 5 or 6. Going on to number 12, this was an open-ended question. I did not see a lot of any one thing mentioned there, so I'm not going to cover it. However, once you get to question 13, it asks what you want visitors to know about Hildebran. I counted this up. We had 20 mentions of history, 20 different mentions. The question was, what do you want visitors to know about Hildebran? For example, history, restaurants, natural beauty, or what does the town represent to you? And we didn't have a total of 30 answers. 20 of them mentioned history. So that seems to be really important to people who took this survey. Any questions on that at this point? We'll have Erin come to the next meeting. I've got to meet with her regarding the project this Wednesday. Her and I are all meeting. We haven't even had a chance to discuss the survey results, so I wanted to go ahead and get that to you since they're out there and to get the results. But yeah, if you have any questions, anything you need me to take to Erin this Wednesday, you can either let me know or email me.
Well, I got 2 points. First, on question 9, the biggest thing was add lighting to the facilities, talking about to the existing park. So the park is only open during daylight hours, right?
So yeah, that's a good point. We close it at different times throughout the year based on sunset. We do close it at sunset.
Okay. So my question
It's supposed
is,
to be locked, though.
Daylight saving hours.
It's not being locked, you know what I'm saying, it's not. It's still staying open, and if it's staying open after dark, you know.
I'll tell you this, yeah, if you'll call me whenever you notice these things, give me a text, that way I can communicate with Griffith. But,
so my point was,
Probably right now it's open, or if it's not, it's getting ready to be closed, or it's been closed.
It closes early now. Earlier.
Yeah.
should be.
well, the point of my question was not lights out in the playground area, was could it be reference to lighting under the pavilion or in the depot?
I can have Erin look at the surveys to see if that was mentioned. From what I understand, this would be an access to light. Okay, I'll ask on that one.
I'm just curious, because I mean, again, it's only supposed to be open during the day, whether or not they lock it's beside the point. But if it's only open during the day, you know, adding lights seems, I just wonder if they're talking about under the pavilion and in the depot, if that's where they're talking about. And then my second point is just as an idea about that last question, number 13, we said there were 20 mentions of history. I like the idea of it. I think it's Henry Ford Park over in Longview, where they had like on their little walking trail part of it, they have like different parts of stories or whatever to kind of read along. You know, an idea is if we were able to do like a walking trail to have different things about the history along that would be a way to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I like that with our banners too, because we could have, our banners are all based on certain, important spots in town or prominent. So yeah, we could even connect it with like those images. Yeah, we could absolutely talk about that. You said, what was the example you gave?
I think it's Henry Ford Park in Longview.
They're down now because it's flooded, but,
Yeah, I think they have like little
they did.
spots set up, and they had like different parts of the story.
Like you're on the water.
It's like a reading trail, I guess is what it's like for kids. When you're walking with your kids, you kind of read along
It's
story.
basically like a wooden platform with a little bit of history or something. like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It wasn't much, but just enough.
Okay.
How many commercial businesses, restaurants, and they'll, especially in Hickory, and they'll have photos of the town inside the restaurant depicting the history of the town. You know, we've got a new restaurant coming into town, that's something that we can work with towards that. Chubby's, you know, they have nothing on the walls, you know, tied into the restaurants.
Yeah, a good example of that used to be down on Springs Road at Shell's Barbecue. I mean, they had the walls, it was all memorabilia, of all went on down to St. Stephen's area.
I think we could do with that building down here, we got two on that corner.
I can look at that and get back to you next month.
Yeah.
Looking at that, but I will look into the Emory Ford Park and Longview.
And I'm sure if you look up a basic, well, I'm sure you can probably reach out to other local towns and stuff if they know examples of breeding trails in town parks. I mean, they don't even have to be local, just to kind of see what's out there. But I know that's a pretty common thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I don't know how many of y'all have been in the library and senior center, but they have, you know, the pictures up of the town on their walls as well.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, is that all?
Yes.
Okay. 7B, discussion of bank overgrowth at the park.
Yes, so Councilmember Weaver had asked about possibly volunteering to do some work out there. At this point, we talked a little bit before the meeting. We can get into that next month. But what I have done is I did call both DOT and our insurance. Essentially, and this is a good point to bring up for like all council. So each of you are insured. However, you're insured for a certain job function. Just council duties, right? So what Terry would be doing out there is not seen as something typical under his duties. According to the insurance, woman that I spoke with, the way she would look at this is if it's a one-off, then no harm, no foul. She sent us some waiver forms, release and acknowledgement, and volunteer forms. So DOT doesn't have a problem with us doing anything on that bank. The insurance adjuster, provided it's a one-time deal, for example, if he were to mow anything else in town, they're not gonna cover it, they're gonna wanna add that to the insurance, raise our premiums, because they're seeing that as an added function and added liability. But if it's a one-off, again, not so much. So anyway, if that is something that council wants to approve, what I talked about with Lori, the new maintenance position is getting with Terry, going up to that park, looking at what he and his people are able to do. You know, make sure Lori's okay with that, seeing what she needs to do after the fact to maintain it. And then coming back in March, providing that to council, seeing if that's a plan we can move forward with, and the council is comfortable with it, approving it that way, if that's okay. That way.
So Terry, what do you want to do with it?
I just want to clean that bank up and all where it leaves it open to where you can see. And instead of growing up look like a jungle. That's what's got to be done up there. I mean, it's just let it grow up. Every year it grows head high up through there. You can't even see the park from the road.
I know we've done it before, and I don't think we've done it in the last couple of years, but have we reached out to the local Boy Scout troop? I know a lot of times they're always looking for different things to do in the community and service projects. And that may be something that we could reach out, because this is not going to be a one-time thing. We know this is going to be an ongoing issue until we make a more permanent change to it. But is that something that we could reach out to them to see if they're even interested in helping?
I know the Boy Scout group is up there quite a bit from Mount Hebron Lutheran Church. They meet, they'll walk up there, and they're up there quite often.
No, absolutely. And the thing about it is, when we put them under this volunteer form, they're viewed as the same as if we sent an employee up there to work on it, in terms of our insurance. So yeah, we can absolutely ask about that, see what they say. Shouldn't be an issue.
I mean, I know scouts are always looking for stuff to do. And, a lot of times I remember from my days, it was always hard just knowing where to go. So that could always be something, hey, if you're ever interested, let us know. We've got something.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that okay to bring back in February, some type of plan? Okay.
Okay, 7C, consider approval of budget amendment for park maintenance equipment.
Just to break this down for you, so we do have a budget amendment. This is gonna be for park equipment and utility or regular general building, material. The majority of this, however, is going to be the mower cost. So we have a budget amendment of $12,277, $12,077 of that will be in the building and grounds, and $200 of that will be for public works. But again, the largest expense is gonna be the mower. We did get 2 quotes on mowers. The first was for a John Deere mower. It has a suggested price of $9,600. That's general, that's the retail price. We had a second mower that was a Toro mower, and it was over 10,000. It was 10,600. However, the state has drawn up contracts with these folks. So basically, we are entitled to a state discount when we purchase this. We do have to purchase commercial equipment. That is the one thing about it. But these 2 mowers, the John Deere mower comes down to $7,200 before tax. And the Toro mower came down to $7,700. After talking with both Lori and Hickory Home and Gardens, the person we got the quotes from, they both suggested and were fine with the less expensive mower, the John Deere mower. After tax, that amount came out to $7,685. So the remaining $4,000 and some change will be for general items such as your pesticides, pitchforks, mop buckets, pruners, janitorial parts for different buildings, backpacks, mowers, weed eaters, bush cutters, mini tillers, things like that. But those costs only amount to $2,600 for the first batch, and then the backpacks, trimmer, the sprayer, bush cutters, the bush edgers, and then the mini tiller was $1,700. So all of that combined was only $12,700. We were looking at paying over $10 just for the mower. So the fact that came in at $7,600, it lowered it's $2,600 substantially. So we need council to approve the budget amendment in the amount of $12,700 for $12,277. Yes.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget amendment for the amount of $12,277.
I'll call for a vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes. Gary, yes.
Derek, yes.
Ben, yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, 7D, consider approval of 2021 Town of Hildebran events, and that is in your packet also. You see it there, the farmer's market and. Anybody have any comment on that?
Are we intentionally starting the farmer's market in June because of COVID?
Yeah. I mean, I've been there the past 2 years when we started it in May, and low participation on both sides. There's just not that much homegrown to have in May. So with COVID being as bad as it was, let's just stick to what prime time is my opinion.
Okay with that.
And then the other 3, the yard sale and the craft show, we don't know at this point if we're going to be able to do those. And I do not have cruise-ins on there because it's not something that staff runs or oversees. So I guess that will have to be addressed in another month or 2.
I'll make a motion to approve the events for Town of Hildebran.
Mike, call for the vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes. Gary, yes.
Derek, yes.
Ben, yes.
All right, thank you. 7E, January facilities report. Of course, we went over a lot of that, but the rest is in your packet here. And there's we got a new front door.
That'll be covered next month, yes.
Okay, there's no comment on that. Let's see. 7F, December tax report, that's in your packet.
Can I ask a question about the tax report?
Yes.
So ever since we switched to the county, I mean, I see the percentages and stuff collected in 2017. Are we on pace since the county took over for what we were doing before?
Do you have what their final amount was?
I mean, I'm just curious, and that doesn't have to be answered today, but can we just get an idea to see like if there's been any falling off drastically or anything?
7G, December deputy report, that's in your packet. Any comments there?
We had another pretty good month.
Yeah, let's go.
December and January were good. There's some concerns I have about some properties in town, and how to get with Hunter on that. Part of it being the Levert property at the corner of Main Avenue West and South Center Street, beside the Kenny Mid place. It's called Levert Nursery. And there's property down behind it. Single family structure that's dilapidated and falling in. Is everybody aware where that is?
Yeah.
See if Hunter can help us with that. He did in the past, to where we got rid of it. By code, doesn't need it. So we're looking at that. We did have an issue with the prayer chapel at Methodist Church and homeless behind Dollar General. They were camping out in between the air conditioning units. That's been addressed this weekend, so we'll see what happens. Everything else pretty good. The car was purchased by the county. Is that correct?
We are waiting, so we did not have the title. We have sent off for a duplicate copy. We're waiting on that. As soon as we get that back, county has agreed to purchase it. We'll just have to wait for the title.
Thank you, Chuck Fisher, for that.
We're all together. Other than the, I think our main thing is just to get the town cleaned up. Properties that are not being used, that won't be used. We have someone going to rent the building at South Center Street and crossing DVT, the same structure. I think that's going to be a tree service accessories. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Corner of Main Avenue East and South Center Street. That building there, I was talking with the homeowner, Jackman's, and they have someone renting that. So that'll be open too. Don't know a timeline yet on the restaurants. They striped the parking lot, so hopefully that's coming.
Tell you what, he could strip the parking lot. He done it with a brush. He didn't do control.
He did it with a brush?
I'm serious. He striped it with a brush.
I'm trying to convince Highway 600 US 70 Highway Tire over here across from the new restaurant. I'm trying to talk them into going up the road to the old M&S garage and see about it. I'm not trying to get rid of them. I'm just trying to, you know.
We look
Find them a better facility for
Well,
it.
thank you for doing that. Thank you for trying to talk to them.
And forgive me if I speak out of line sometimes, but you know, I'm a citizen here in town, so it just comes easy.
These days,
Well, it's something.
Yeah.
It's something like those, all those little tires, stuff sitting around, you know, the first thing is summertime. Water gets in them, mosquitoes, all that stuff.
that's my concern.
But now here's another thing, I just learned this a couple years ago myself. Fish tire dealer, or whatever you want to call them. There's a date on those tires that they cannot legally put them on a car. You can't tell me some of them been sitting out there 10 years, it's still good. They need to get rid of them because they are a date on a tire and they cannot legally put them on a car.
And they have trouble securing things. So,
Nicely stated.
yeah. But,
My concern is where the tires coming from. I'm gonna
well,
shut up.
in today's economy and society, it's easier to go break a $10 tire instead of paying $400 for a set. So, they do a lot of business, but it's gonna be at the expense of someone's health with the right situation that comes along. It's dangerous where they're doing business at. So,
They're almost out the road when they.
I like when they're down, I like when they're down there in their jacks out the road, or the road,
Airlines.
moves you around.
I tell you what, they're laying all jokes aside. JR's good old boy.
he's a hard worker.
And he works
And
hard.
that's why we.
That's just like we use the stage for the last benefit we done. And I went out there to see him. I said, JR, I've known his brother for years. I said, JR, I need to get the tires fixed on that stage. And I said, we're gonna pull it out to the house. He came over and looked at it. He fixed the tires. I said, JR, how much do I owe you? He says, it's on me. So I mean, like I said, he's a good old boy, but the tires are stacked up there. That's just a mosquito pit.
Well, if we're trying to beautify the town,
It's not sort of.
it is.
Well, and to be honest with you, the restaurant that's located across the street is already calling. But I've informed everybody to let it cut it.
But at one time, they lose some tires down the other building or something?
Yeah,
After
the old King Sheet Mill.
Yeah.
Up, in Akron, they either purchased that or was reading it to put, surplus in. They were gonna move down there and they found out they would lose too much money moving out of here.
Who owns that building?
Rick and I have looked that up before because they're on the other side next to, Catbird. That little stretch of land up there in between the Highway 70 and Railroad.
I looked it up one time.
Which-
I couldn't, I'm
I
trying to
tell
check.
you, I don't know if anything can go back in there once it leaves out. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Because we checked in on it too.
Yeah. But, and the M&S garage up the street is vacant now, and that would be a great place for them to move in.
What happened?
Where's that?
When I get back on the
Chung's tire. Okay, yeah,
Let's
is
take
that
care
all
of this
for
after
the,
the
is
meeting.
that all for the deputy report?
Any questions?
Committee reports,
Feel free.
7H, committee reports, technical coordinating committee and transportation advisory committee.
Yes, so they have their meeting online this month. I have a call-in to Brian Horton, the transportation director, to get an update on all of our projects. The only thing I will tell you is that our dues did go up 15%, for the NPO. However, we were only paying $729 a year. That amount's going up to $839. But in terms of the projects, I do not have an update on those right now.
I got nothing else to add. Okay, the policy board delegates,
The meeting's tomorrow night.
tomorrow night, okay? Burke Economic Development,
Sent that out earlier. They just did approval of minutes, budget committee, staff updates, not much to report.
okay.
But y'all should have it. Agree with that.
Recreation and Tourism,
That's the report.
Water Resource Committee, VEDIC,
We meet Thursday.
okay? Library Board, I have nothing to report there, so. Now we can go to 7I. Talking about what to do for the staff. Does anybody have any suggestions?
I mean, I'm not opposed to, cutting a bonus check, hazard paycheck, whatever you'll call it. I'm sure whatever we have to do, we'd have to make a budget amendment, obviously for it.
What was your thoughts on that, Redmond?
I don't have any particular thoughts, but I think, it'll at least $1,000 each or something like that, something significant enough to let them know. Because I know how many hours they put in other than the normal hours and how it disrupted their lives. And I think it'll be something meaningful. Plus they lost their
And only working through COVID, they done all these extra projects,
Yes, sir.
they work harder.
they worked hard. I mean, they worked hard. I think it'll be something very meaningful for them.
Is this something you want to go into closed session and us announce?
Are we able, can we call
I
for
think
that?
that's exactly what it's for, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm absolutely
Let's
do that.
perfectly fine. I'll make a motion to call for a closed session meeting for the purpose of discussing staff, whatever that. All right, call the vote. Cole, yes.
Mike, yes.
Terry, yes.
Derek, yes.
Ben, yes.
Okay.
We want him Ben off somewhere.
Can you put him over this? Put him over here.
And yeah, that way we'll pick it up.
All right, Ben, this is Derek, you're sitting beside me now.
Sorry, what?
This is Derek, you're beside me now, I got the phone.
Can we,
Okay. Maybe I can hear better now.
can we go into closed
I
session?
hear you.
Yes, for you, buddy.
Discussion of personnel or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna talk about performance, yes, closed session is okay, but I don't know if,
It is
Okay.
it's for real performance.
okay.
Based on
Will you turn
performance,
off
we decide
that?
if we're gonna give them money or not, right?
And the live stream is off.
Okay, all right, good.
I've got it on pause, is that okay?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Just leave it on pause.
All right, y'all want me out too?
That'll be like.
It's nothing personal. When we come back, we're gonna have you surprised.
So I think Councilmember Klein needs $1,000. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, man, did you hear that?
The main name was Juan.
Oh, yeah, how to get the funds, you know? All right.
What does everybody think?
Spit out a number.
Wow.
My question is, as far as Gary, are we allowed to give,
Yeah.
You
He's
can give him
hours
a
now.
bonus.
okay, that's what I was asking on
Yeah,
that.
that's why I'm not talking about salary, I feel, or be a bonus. It won't go to their base. It's a one-time reward for above and beyond.
I say give each one of them $1,000 bonus.
Yeah, and I'm speaking out of ignorance, so I don't know. I mean, so part of this is, so that this is above what they've been doing, because I'm assuming.
They've had to deal with a lot. They got a lot to do.
Well, there's a lot of balls juggling this year. Everybody's
They
been.
got to do a lot of projects too, that Army don't have to mess with too.
So
They've been busy.
let me throw this out there, okay? So we're talking, I mean, I don't remember off the top of my head what each of their salaries are. But they all make at least 55,000 a year, is that right? Or, gosh, I can't remember.
No.
Now, that'll be not enough.
Or they make at least like, I feel like they all make at least 40.
Yeah.
They all make at least 40.
I think, yeah, 40, 45.
Okay.
What I remember.
I can tell you from the business world, from what I've seen, different type of hazard pays, different types of bonuses and things given over the course of the last 10 months in a variety of settings, not just pharmacy, but in a variety of settings, especially for frontline workers. Anywhere from, over the course of the year, $1,000 to $3,000 is what I see, okay? I feel like, as fiscally conservative as I am, I still feel like $1,000 is not enough for them. I don't want to be wasteful, but I'm comfortable drawing the line at $2,000 each, because what they've done is significant, especially even when for a while they were working from home. I know even when I think Logan had COVID and was still working from home while he was even out with COVID.
They still took care of business.
They still took care of business. I think this town has grown and has done very well because of every single one of them. And I definitely feel like appreciation can never be fully shown due to a check. But if we are doing this, if we're going to do something, then I feel like it needs to be something that's like, whoa, wow. And I
Make
think
it appreciable.
it needs to be more than just, oh, okay, this is just because we feel obligated. I think it really needs to be appreciative.
Appreciative, yeah.
I
agree
don't
with
know
that.
what it was like before I came on board, so, being out of town, I mean, just based upon the reports and what they do and how they handle everything was
They
great.
work hard to stay on
Well,
top.
everything
Before
was,
we
all
all
the
got
checks
moved
and
in,
balances.
we tried to cut play every way we could, get the deal.
Shoo! But I'll tell you, every cut that was made
Oh, it was necessary.
was absolutely necessary, and I don't regret for a second. any
I
of
think
those
we
No,
got-
I don't
decisions we
read
did.
I don't read
And I'll tell you right now, Logan,
They took over.
that boy has done so much, and I don't mean to denigrate him by calling him boy, but because of him, this town is in the right direction. And I feel like if we don't do something financially,
Hold on.
he's gonna be moving on to bigger, better things. I mean,
Especially
engaged.
his age, loving a town like this with the history and age of it, and loving the way it does.
He's
That's
taking-
huge, that's
he's
huge.
taking
I'll put it this
it
way, I've heard from the people in the town talk about how much Logan is doing for the town. I've heard it from
Y'all have,
quite
a
a
good-
few
y'all,
people.
you have a good team, best
Right.
team we've had since I've been.
Yeah.
I've
And
heard it
I
from a
feel
lot
like
of
if we undersell anything, then I don't want there to be, not sour grapes, but I don't want there to be any reservation, in any of them to consider, oh, hey, maybe I need to look somewhere else. Or maybe I need to, I want to try to keep Hunter included. I mean, he's not our employee. We don't pay him. We have a contract. And so, I mean, obviously he's out of this discussion, but I don't want to lose any of them. So I feel like if we're going to take this step, it needs to be a bold enough step, but not be wasteful. But I don't think 1,000 is enough. And I think 2,000, I'm comfortable each. So
Let me ask you-
I'll say this, I'll say this.
I'm good with that.
Let me ask you this, Raymond. The reason why you brought that up, was that from any chatter, or is that just what you felt to bring up?
No, I just know that.
I'm asking that in
They,
confidence.
they did not get a raise for the first 6 months because we were worried about state revenues and all that stuff. I've been monitoring that. And the revenues are there. We haven't lost any money. And that $8,000 is not gonna impact what we've taken in, and it's less than what we would have paid them if they had to.
I
I
know
went
he's
by,
like- we know
I went
he's
by
like-
the town hall myself. And, I know they take on all these projects, like I said, we've done cuts, and, Alice took on our job, Rick takes care of all this stuff, and Logan, heard nothing but good about him. And, he was talking to town people and everything, I actually went by, and I told each one of them, thank you, right after Christmas, because I know they've been busting their butt on all these projects. And Logan, every day, I mean,
Well,
everything, every day,
I've asked.
anything you gotta talk to.
Everything I've went to
Emails,
Logan
he keeps
asking.
me informed.
And I'm just gonna throw some calculator math out there so you see where I'm coming from, okay? Let's say an average salary of $50,000 a year, right? We'll say that is the average salary. If they were to get a 3% raise for a year, you're talking $1,500. So this is what, 6 months that they are not getting that raise. So a 3% raise they missed out on was $750. All right? So, I mean, one number would say, well, let's give them the $750 and that's the raise they missed out on. But I feel that
That's not showing
We
the
already get,
appreciation.
we already get
for
the
what
raise
they've
and
done.
appreciation.
yeah,
Maybe
because
you
they've
have
been working more than 40 hours.
2,000.
No, it sounds good to me.
Okay,
I like 2,000.
I say let's go with the 2,000. That's showing
Because they'll
appreciation.
be
That's
taxed.
over and above the raise.
What you
they're
think?
getting.
Yeah, you have to take taxes out of
And
that.
I said, let's go 2,000 a piece.
what do you think, Raymond? Is that fair enough?
I think they'll be, I think they need to be rewarded. I think they need to be appreciated. And I appreciate y'all doing that. I think it shows how much we care about them. They have gone above and beyond.
Oh, absolutely,
I know
absolutely.
I know they took on jobs.
How do you feel about that one?
I agree. Let's do it.
Because I'm telling you, this group right here,
It's good.
for what the town was when the three of us and Ben first stepped in, to where it has come now, is awesome. And I'm afraid that losing any of them, Rick, Alice, Gary, Logan, any piece of that is going to set this town back.
Way back.
It will.
And I think it's the appropriate move. And
We're gonna horseshoe up our butt when we find Logan.
And there's a lot of places out in,
I mean, really,
hiring.
you got somebody just,
town managers too. There's a lot of,
So what do we need to do to approve it?
Well,
We have
all
to
we
go
do
in
is
open
come out
session.
of closed session, then we make we can make a motion, and
Let's get it done.
let's do it.
let's do it. All right, so
Make a motion.
I make a motion to come out of closed session.
All right, vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes?
Jerry, yes.
Derek, yes?
Dan, yes.
All right, thank you.
I'll make the motion when it's in.
Okay.
All right, we're ready, guys.
I am there.
Sorry, Rick, I should have told you.
Put that chair in his way, you seen that, didn't you?
That's what the door stops there for. Rick goes, he's not the brightest light bulb, but I can check it. Yeah. Rick, that's called the door stop?
Turn this back on. Back on.
There, push the button. All right.
Hey,
You still there, man?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The motion made to come out of closed session, made by Cole.
How many hours?
Or roll call vote, all voted in affirmative.
It's not going back on.
What have you done, Derek?
It's flashing. Hey, Rick, I need you again. I know it's flashing. I think that.
Cut the red wire.
Boom, back online. Boom. Okay. Open your motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that for the 4 staff members, Logan Shook, Rick Rankin, Alice, Klein,
Sanders.
and Gary Howard, that we approve a $2,000 check each
It's a bonus.
as a bonus.
That we want to do.
Yep.
And that would be an appreciation for all your hard work
Yes.
during.
And we are very appreciative to each
We're
and
glad
every one
to
of
do it.
y'all.
Easy conversation.
I'll let these guys. I'll be honest with you, Rick and Alice, like we took that COVID project on. Since you've already approved it, now I'm kind of say a little bit about what.
Say whatever you
I don't want to sell.
It
it,
ain't
but-
approved, we ain't voted, I just
Yeah.
want a motion.
Oh, my
I'm going too far, don't kill it. So, I think just 3, let me talk yourself out.
Let me put it this way. I found out, Rick and Alice probably already knew, but I found out there was no such thing as free money. That was the most complicated. I didn't know it could be so hard to spend $48,000. I'll put it to you that way.
And that really was not all the county's finance director. I mean.
Yeah.
She didn't make it any easier with it.
No, it was, yeah, I'm talking like the rules changed month to month. It even got to a point where they said, you gotta take pictures of everything you've done. So I had to literally go around town, take pictures of every single, you just wouldn't believe it. But I do appreciate it. If they've got anything else to say, I'm sure they appreciate it. But I can tell you one thing, Rick said, if he had here before this started, I would have took it, but I promise you. So,
Y'all done a great job with this season.
I'll go ahead and call for a vote.
well.
Yes. Jerry, yes.
Derek, yes.
Thank you.
And we want, it's more than just monetary, we want to let y'all know how much.
It's for appreciation of what the job you've done. That's-
We could have done, we would have, but y'all done it. Fantastic.
And we want the minutes to reflect how the council expressed their appreciation for the effort y'all done.
I'll take it to that. I'll say it.
And if you take it unanimously, despite of what Logan said.
Can we take this off the YouTube part so Kristen doesn't see it? I'm engaged now, so. I don't need that 2,000.
I don't do domestic work, but my son-in-law does, so that'll be a nice retainer for the.
Oh, do they need to vote on it now?
Yes,
Budget amendment.
they already have.
Okay, all right.
Well, budget amendment. Did that include a budget amendment?
That did include a budget, because I meant to ask that.
Is there any other business we need to discuss?
I have updates for you.
Okay,
So CVS, I don't know how many of you seen the email. I called about 3 other CVS's, Longview, the one beside where I live, and one in Granite. It appears it's a corporate-wide policy that they don't keep their lights on past a certain point. I couldn't get any of them to verify. They kept it on all night. I tried to. However, Hunter and I have reached out to DOT. We've got to get a utility encroachment agreement to put these lights up. I did want to get with council to make sure it is the issue, the rear parking area, the large part of the parking area. That is going to be a hard spot to address. Now, the
issue
is the main road, because the road curves at the end, and if you're not paying attention, that's where accidents
It used to
happen.
be safe. You just been there, went off the road, you come on the road, but now they fixed it where you gotta
Yeah, the road.
do the loop-de-loop.
They changed the direction of the road.
I mean, the whole backlog of CVS is a whole nother issue that I don't feel is appropriate for the council to
Gary,
discuss.
that's good.
Gary and I have had multiple conversations on that outside of here, but the main issue is 78.
Okay, we
Yeah,
can
you
address
can't
that.
see right there, dark.
Okay, we can definitely address that. We're meeting with DOT and Duke, so we'll have you a guaranteed definite answer on where, how much, and what all entails at February, at the latest March, depending on how quickly the state can get out. But we are looking at that, we're trying to address that. Second, we got our banners in. If anybody wants to come, so next month what I'll do, we'll invite HDR to come out. We'll get a photo off of it, we'll have it put in the paper, but we do have our banners in. I think you guys did a great job of which one you picked. We have those. We have to get a non-utility encroachment agreement for this through DOT. We've already started that process with Chris Guffey. Hunter wanted me to mention that planning board kicked off the 160D updates. That's a requirement by the state that they're combining the planning laws between counties and cities. They've started that. Anything else? No, that's all I got.
Anything else?
One other thing, and Derek's more aware than I am, and the only reason I know this because I've talked to some of the BDI folks quite a bit from the old days. It's amazing to a lot of the BDI people how hot an area is, Hildebran is for growth and development. The park and other places like that, residential and commercial. We're situated and some good things are gonna happen and are happening and will continue to happen. We're very glad.
So I just want to ask a couple of questions. Number one, when we were talking about the town event dates, you mentioned about cruise-ins weren't on there because of HSDA responsible for that stuff to bring it to us. So usually the first cruise-in is Memorial Day, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so technically that still fell under dates that we approved before. Obviously, this is way far out, but because of what happened in the fall, has HHDA expressed a desire to do anything for Memorial Day this far out? Because I know they're going to need time to plan and all of that. And if not, do they have a time frame?
So I did get an email today asking about the cruise-ins. They told me in the email that, there's no guarantees. They would love to have them. They want to have them. They asked, if council's going to approve them or not. Basically what I told them in the email was, the state, they keep us in the dark until literally 2 to 3 days out from their next decision. So as far as we know right now, we could be in this. Everything I'm seeing is 2021, everything's getting pushed back to 2022 already. And we're 3 weeks into the year, 4 weeks into the year. I'm already seeing things that should have been done in 2021, they're like, next year. So given that, I don't have a clue, but my answer to them was, as we get closer, we'll keep following up with you. They need at least 30 days notice.
Well, they said that before, then they said that wasn't enough. And I would love to give them 60, 90 days. So they have enough time. But I guess my second part of that question is, we're fixing to roll into planning retreat, budget retreats, those kinds of things. And so I preface that discussion by saying, should we go into those discussions and making a lump decision ahead of time now and say, do we want to go ahead and kind of leave it up in the air, but go ahead and still approve for them to do and go through that negotiation? Or should we make a blanket discussion and say, let's just make it easy on everybody, but I hate doing that. So I guess the question is, how do we start tailoring the HHDA cruise-in discussion going into planning of budget retreats, and have we started looking at potential dates for those yet?
The question on the dates, no.
Okay.
In terms of finances, again, they literally reached out to me today and said, hey, we'd like to know more about cruise ins, what you're thinking. So at this point, no, I'm not even starting to address that with them. But I can get with them as early as tomorrow and send out an email to council. To be honest with you, just honestly, I have no clue what even February is like. But, I mean, I don't know. So to say what's happening in May, I don't know.
I didn't know that.
That's what I'm Thursday's
I
fine.
already have a wrong focus,
Who's this?
Rex Webb.
And what, both have it?
Huh?
They both.
That's what I heard. Someone was
I
telling me
saw him on Thursday at ESPYs and he was fine.
that. Okay.
I think that was,
Wax on.
yeah, I think it's been a while.
I just heard them say that they wanted to bring Gunny better. I thought they was still sick.
The way I would say it in terms of the budget, you can go ahead and budget for it. Again, just because we budget for it doesn't oblige us to it. We're not forced to spend it. It just gives us the authority to spend it. So if I were gonna lean one way or another, I'd lean, go ahead and budgeting for it as if it were gonna happen. Then if it doesn't, it just rolls back into the fund balance.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I'll get you an answer this week.
And, we're starting to consider planning the budget retreats in the February, March, that kind of time frame. So you'll start trying to find dates. And
Late February, probably March, we'll probably approve a day in March at the February meeting.
okay. Can't wait it's under that time.
Right.
It's just gonna fly by.
Long.
It's gonna be fast. It's gonna be fast.
Yeah.
The older you get, faster you get.
Oh, you're good. That's right.
What's being doing? Watching TV? You better hurry and make a motion to adjourn.
Somebody wanna make a motion to adjourn? Ben? Ben, this is your chance.
Oh, yeah, I would happily do that.
All right, call for a vote.
Cole, yes.
Mike, yes. Jerry, yes.
Derek, yes.
And yes.
Sit there beside you and cereal. Come on.